Okay? Now this is where it gets a little bit difficult, is subtracting linear expressions. And if you got, by the way, if you got those two right, you can move on. If not, you should rewatch so you know where you made your mistakes. When you subtract a linear expression, this is where it gets to be a little bit more challenging, okay? So if I have, for letter A, we're going to do this letter A one. If I have 5x plus 6, terrible, 5x plus 6, okay? Now I have that minus, and then I have a negative x plus 6. Okay, now this is the thing. You need to turn this minus into plus, so it becomes essentially 5x plus a negative 6 plus. Now that negative out there becomes plus the opposite, but it's outside the parenthesis. And we've talked about that in my class. When it's outside the parenthesis, that means the opposite of, but that means everything inside is the opposite. So that negative x now becomes a positive x plus, and that 6 now becomes a negative 6. Okay? Now here, after you've done that, and because you have to show me that, I am not going to let you not show that. You are going to be required to rewrite this like this. Okay? You're essentially distributing a negative, or that's what you're doing. You're distributing a negative across the second binomial. So you have 5x plus negative 6 plus x plus negative 6. Now you can do two things. You can do the commuting, or the horizontal method, where you commute the order. So it's 5x plus x plus negative 6 plus negative 6. Okay? Ooh, I made a mistake here. This isn't negative. I'm like looking at this thinking something's not right. This shouldn't be a negative 6. That should be a positive 6. I messed up. Which means this one also isn't negative. Which means this one then isn't negative. If you look over here, I knew when I was doing it something didn't look right. This is a positive 6, not a negative 6. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we have to combine our like terms. So 5 plus x is 5x plus x is 6x, because there's a negative or invisible 1 in front of that x, plus, and then you have 6 plus a negative 6, that's 0. Well, the additive property of 0 tells you that any number plus 0 is that number, so your answer is 6x. Okay? Now, you could go from this step right here and go right to the vertical method, which would be then 5x, but you still have to show that step in red, 5x plus 6, and then we're adding it because we turn that minus into a plus, 5x plus 6 plus, and then x plus a negative 6. 6 plus negative 6 is 0. 5x plus x is 6x. That would be your answer. Okay? So you go from this step where you distribute that negative, turning the subtraction of the two binomials into an addition problem, and then go right to the vertical and get your answer, and that would be fine. Okay. You also might, I should probably talk about that too, you might have to distribute. So when you do that, then you're going to have to also take into account that step. So if you look, I would like you to look at number 6. Okay, we'll do number 6 together, and this should be written in your notebook. It's a negative 2 times c plus 2.5. Okay, and then it has minus 5 times 1.2 1.2, that looks terrible, 1.2 plus 4. Okay, now you have to distribute that -2 and that -5. So a -2, so to do that you got to think, okay, -2 times c, then -2 times 2.5. Okay, so if I do -2 times c, that is a -2, and I'm doing this in red now, -2c plus, okay, now I have to do the -2 times the 2.5. So 2 times 2.5 is 5, okay, but I have a negative times a positive. So it's going to be a -5. Okay, now the second part, you have to turn this minus into plus the opposite. So I'm going to do that and make this plus a -5. And then I'm going to distribute it. Okay? So if I do that, I have a -5. And again, you would go -5 over the 1.2 and the -5 over the 4. So -5 times 1.2 is 6. But it's a negative times a positive, so it's going to be a -6 plus, and then a -5 times 4 is a -20. Oh, and look, I also forgot something. Did anybody notice what I forgot? I forgot to put my C here. There should be a C here. There we go. So it's a -2.5, or -2c plus -5 plus -6c plus a -20. Okay, now you can do the vertical method or you can do the horizontal method. I'm going to show you the vertical method for right now. So it's -2c plus a -5 and -6c plus -20. Okay, then you add -20 plus a -5 is a -25 plus -2 plus -6 is -8c. So that's our answer. -8c plus a -25. That would be your answer. That's how you would do it with the distributing. And this is what I would want to see for work. I expect to see that. You're going to get a point for showing that you can distribute. You're going to get a point for showing that you know how to turn this negative, that subtraction problem, into plus the opposite. And then you're going to get a point for showing the combining of your like terms, and you're going to get a point for your answer. So if we count that up, you get 1 point for the distributive step, so that's 1. You get 1 point for the subtraction step, that's 2 points. 1 point for combining your like terms, that's 3 points. And 1 point for your answer, that's 4. So a problem like this is worth 4 points. You need to make sure you show every single step. Step 1, step 2, 3, 4. Okay, you need to have that all. Okay, so what